What is going on, everybody? It's your boy, Senor Almond Butter. Now, this channel has been all about music, but as I take a turn into 2026, I just want to spend this last day of 2025 giving you what is called the most interesting set of events that have taken place in my lifetime, right? Now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not somebody who has ever believed or bought into that stuff. I've been hospitalized before for like panic attacks and stuff because of crisis and burnout from working too hard as a high achieving student and, of course, coping in unhealthy ways. So consider this an educational video and also a entertaining one, because more than half of these things that I'm going to talk about today are telling a story from my perspective, right? So you can take it with a grain of salt. You can consider that some of this is probably just my own biases playing out, right? And that's fine. But I still want to record this and make this for you. So I hope you find it entertaining or at least educational. I hope it helps you in your journey of life, however old you are, wherever you are. People are saying it's like the end of the world and stuff. I don't know if it's the end of the world. And if it is, then damn. I just don't want to accept that. But before all of that, before I come into acceptance of the fact that the world could be ending, or at least the world as we knew it, the world that I grew up knowing, the world that I've been kind of conditioned by, and not really from the state of education, but the media, pop culture and stuff like that, right? All of that's coming to an end for sure. I can't say too much else because there's just nothing else to say. It's all out there in front of you. Sucks because I don't actually know what to believe anymore. And I sometimes don't even know how to trust myself because I was raised in that culture, you know what I'm saying? So when I post music and stuff and I connect with young people as I have in the work that I've done, I've always found myself kind of in a state of cognitive dissonance, right? In the state of my integrity is being challenged because I don't know if I'm living appropriately to be able to care for these kids based on my lifestyle and the habits that I've chosen, the way I was raised, the things that I saw for myself in life. So let's dive right into this whole timeline, right? Because it all starts in the year 2000. I want to say it starts in the year 2000, for me at least. This is something that, for a lot of other people, it could have started at any time. But for me, as far back as I can remember, this is from the year 2000. It's been a whole story. So I'm gonna break it down from a storytelling perspective rather than from this perspective of woe is me or this world is coming to an end. All right, let's do this. So here's a timeline of my experience as a person who has been living a lie, right? And I think it all starts in the year 2000 because the Grinch movie came out, right? The Grinch, dude. I was 10 years old when it came out, and it was such an awesome movie. I remember having friends in elementary school that we're all talking about the movie and stuff. My mom, I grew up watching the Grinch cartoon, so I was like, yo, the Grinch is cool, man. And Jim Carrey as the Grinch, wow, dude. Who would have thought? At the time, he was Ace Ventura and all these other people, right? And he went on to do all these other big movies, which, in retrospect, as I look at it, I'm like, I don't know how to feel about Hollywood, man, but the Grinch movie came out in the year 2000, right? It was good times. Action figures, Dragon Ball Z. I think Gundam was out, and I was starting to get into it. I was learning about the stuff that my uncles and my dad liked, superheroes, anime. Well, my uncle was, he didn't call it anime, but It was basically anime. Star Wars, all that stuff. So that's the year 2000, right? Good times in life. 10 years old. Just a boy in the world. Like, yo, what's going on here? I'm in 5th grade. And my brother was in 6th grade. Or 7th grade, I think, actually. Yeah, he's 7th grade. So my brother is 2 years older than me. He was in 7th grade. And he had moved on from the school that I was in, and he had gone into a new school, which is a school that my mom was working at, right? My mom was working at this school. My mom has always been like a really awesome, hardworking lady, single parent, looking out for kids, keeping kids out of trouble, helping kids to like make better decisions. You can't help every single kid, but you can at least leave a lasting impression on whoever that is left on, right? And I've always lived my life by that philosophy, seeing my mom. And, yeah. So 2001 comes up, right? I think I'm starting 6th grade. And Aaliyah passes away. Aaliyah is an R&B artist. If you all don't know, I'm sure everybody knows who Aaliyah is. I would hope that everybody knows, but like, I don't even know when Princess Diana passed away or was killed, but I know Aaliyah passed away 17 days before 9/11. And that was my first week of 6th grade. I remember waking up that morning and going to class, right? Going to 6th grade class. Like a couple days before, I had just started 6th grade, and I was like, yo, this is awesome. I'm in 6th grade. I'm at the school that my brother and my cousins are going to. We're all here. My mom is working at a different school now, but that's cool. People know me because I've been to this school before, right? So I trusted the adults. The adults trusted me. It was a good place. I was really fortunate to be there. And, 9/11 happens like 2 days. I think the 2nd day of school or the 3rd day of school, like after the weekend. I can't remember which one it is, but I remember waking up in the morning, and my mom would wake us up, and there would be all this stuff on TV. My mom would usually have her TV on, right? I think this time, I don't remember, but me and my brother wake up. I'm going to use the bathroom, and I just remember looking out on my mom's TV, and she's sitting down on her phone talking to family, and I see the Twin Towers on fire, and I'm just confused. I'm like, what's going on? What? Like, the normal stuff that I watch in the morning is like interrupted. I like to wake up and watch Dragon Ball Z in Spanish. Like, that's interrupted. What's going on? Everywhere on the television, it was just 9/11. And I think I remember still having to go to school that day. And we were in class, and it was on the television in front of us, It's such a hard experience. It's hard to talk about now. Like, it's got me kind of shaken. But that was 2001, right? 9/11 happens. And the World Trade Center was like a big part of the world economy at that time. Even before. And people, conspiracy theorists and all these like, wild heads out there probably like right now, I'm probably the idiot, because it's like, how did you barely wake up to this in 2024, 2025, bro? So I'm going to move on. Fast forward 5 years from 2001. 2006 happens, right? It's 2006. I remember in school, like, friends are all talking about it, I was like a heavy metal head and hung out with the nerds in school. Listen to hip-hop and R&B and stuff. Listen to all kinds of music, generally. I was just like a person who wanted to, like, just listen to music and be like, that sounds cool. I like this music. I like this sound. And I remember, like, certain friends were talking about, oh, you're hanging out with the metalheads? Yeah, man. They worship the devil. Don't hang out with them and stuff. And I'm like, what? And, like, even my skater friends listen to metal. Like, we all listen to metal. It's like, what are you talking about, bro? And I remember talking with one particular friend saying, oh, yeah, 2006 is going to be, like, the year that the beast comes out of the cage, and we're not going to be able to put him back in for a while, for, like, 2,000 years or something. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, I don't believe that. That's BS. And, like, this friend was, like, a really close friend of mine. We all come from the same general culture. upbringing, great friend, martial artist. He was cool. He got me into martial arts too. And one of the things that I remember him telling me about is like the Book of Revelation, and he's like, "Yeah, read the Book of Revelation, dude." And I'm like, you know. Anyway, 6/6/2006 happens, and no one bats an eye, right? Everybody's talking about it. I think there's a movie that comes out called The Omen, which is about like the Antichrist, which is like some kind of kid that is born and is an orphan, and a family adopts him. If you watch the original Antichrist movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. And generally, people who are into horror movies probably know The Omen is like one of those, like, oh. A lot of people don't really talk about it being as like a big, it's not as big a deal as like the other scary movies like Freddy Krueger with Nightmare on Elm Street and Hellraiser. I really like the Hellraiser movies growing up, but they're kind of creepy, you know, when I watch them now. I'm like, dang, dude, like what kind of mind could come up with this stuff? So anyway, 6/6/2006 happens and no one bats an eye. But also, in the year 2006, I think Shadow the Hedgehog, the video game, drops, and the story makes zero sense to me. Like a friend of mine, we were all Sonic fans, you know, at the time. This is before that guy who, you know, had autism and like had sex with his mom, who was also like super into Sonic, became like a viral thing that everybody knows about. But I barely learned about that guy literally in 2024, and I was like, dude, I've been a Sonic fan all this year. I'm afraid to even be a Sonic fan now. But anyway, a friend of mine tells me, oh yeah, the new Shadow game came out, and it's about aliens. I'm like, what? Shadow's an alien or a clone or something. And I'm like, what the hell's going on here? That doesn't sound like Sonic the Hedgehog. So, you know, I just shrug my shoulders and move on. But that's 6/6/2006. Ugh, that tasted nasty. 2008-2009 comes around, right? That's like 2-3 years later. The HTC G1 and the iPhone both drop in the US housing market crashes, all within the same like year, right? And if you look into like all the history of all that as it was uncovered, it's kind of like, what? It's one of those 9/11 kind of things too. Like, what? So all the conspiracy theorists probably go crazy over this stuff, but you know, honestly, I'm not into conspiracy theories, but I'm going to keep going because this is going to get really interesting. I'm telling you, I've said it like 2 or 3 times that I'm not into conspiracy theories. I am a very skeptical person, but also a believer, right? So the HTC G1 and the iPhone drops. This is like 3 or 4 years into my social media addiction with MySpace. Facebook is coming around and people are on Facebook. The first instant like gratification-based dating, swiping is like available through Facebook, and it's like a thing that I was into. It was terrible, by the way. But yeah, the housing market crashes. Oof, this is a big one. Emotionally, this is gonna be hard to talk about because I haven't told anybody about this. But I meet this girl named Esther, and she's beautiful, and she tells me about the Illuminati, right? And around the time that I meet Esther, I also meet a friend of hers who's like a male but is homosexual, I think. And that's okay. You know, I've never been against that. But growing up in school, it just wasn't that commonly talked about in the 2000s. It's like, oh, if somebody's gay, you just look at them funny. But it's kind of messed up, you know. It is really messed up when you think about it now and what's happening in the world. But anyway, this person who I also became friends with of hers, who was gay, tried to catfish me and catfish a lot of dudes through like another profile about a year later. But I'm telling you, this stuff is going to get weirder and weirder, bro, because I'm not against gay people. I'm not against homosexuality, but I am against catfishing. And I don't know, man. Like if you're a homosexual and you're into what you're into, that's on you, man. Like I don't want no smoke. I ain't got no smoke against you, but yeah, bro. I got catfished. I knew it was him. I busted him. It was funny. I'm not going to talk about that. But this girl named Esther tells me about the Illuminati, right? Me, being the skeptic that I am and being I'm just buff, dude. I'm just like, Illuminati, get out of here, bro. I don't believe any of that shit. Excuse my language, but I doubt all of it. But this girl Esther somehow tells me that she knows I'm into witchcraft. And she also knows I'm a good person. Now, how Esther knew that at the time I was in the witchcraft, I don't know. I think what I was struggling with was my faith at the time, and I didn't know it was witchcraft. I just thought of it as like, oh, taking care of the earth, right? And there's such a thing called natural magic that people can tell you about. I bought a book on it, and I was like, oh, this is basically like science. It's not witchcraft, is it? I don't know. Turns out Esther was right. She knew I was into witchcraft. One of the reasons why is because I think I had such an intense desire for her that the witchcraft kind of like started to influence her. And she was a person of faith. And through such power of faith, she was able to identify who was being that person in her life. And I guess it was me. But she stayed being friends with me. She would talk to me when she was drunk and struggling with stuff, because she struggled with like men and relationships and romance. And like me, I was a single dude who was like, yeah, I think you're pretty, I'd definitely date you and become a better person. But never met her like in person and hung out with her. I met her online, right? So I always doubted. I was like, what if she's a catfish? For years I doubted that. But anyway, Esther, who goes on to be popular on Facebook in my hometown, a lot of people in Pasadena, in my era at least, the whole 2000, I want to say 2005 through 2010 era, probably knew Esther or knows that person. And I don't mean to throw any names out there, so I'm not going to. But Esther, who's popular on Facebook, announces in 2010 that she will be deleting her Facebook account and all social media because she learned about the plans for social media being used by the Illuminati to corrupt people and kids in the future, right? And she was always sharing like weird conspiracy theory stuff, and I was always kind of like, whatever. But I shrugged it all off, It was all conspiracy theory nonsense. I just shrugged it all off because I thought of it as like stuff that I've heard my friends talk about before, right? And she told me about the Illuminati, but I had heard the friends of mine that I had at the time talk about the Illuminati too. And it was just like, Illuminati, schmilluminati, bro. But anyway, in 2011, I meet more conspiracy theorists. I go on to start drinking alcohol and doing drugs like smoking weed and trying party drugs, but not going crazy. Never did any of the snorting drugs, thank God. Never been into that. Never been into any of those injecting drugs. But I remember meeting people of all walks of life growing up in LA. And, you meet people of all walks of life. And my dad also struggled with drug issues. But the whole issue that I was always running into is what causes people to be attracted to these things? What causes people to like want to do these things? And eventually it becomes like about a social thing or a fun thing. And that's what it was for me, smoking weed and stuff. And in 2011, I'm hanging out with people. I meet more conspiracy theorists. I smoke weed and I party. I fall into the YouTube conspiracy theory rabbit hole, which was before the big YouTube conspiracy purge in like the 2012, 2013, 2014 era. And I heard about this lie of New Age spiritual oneness being disguised as a theosophical Freemason Luciferian scheme to lead the world away from the Abrahamic faith, right? Now, take that in for a second. This is something that was on YouTube. A lot of videos were on YouTube back in 2012, 2011 that were exposing the Illuminati and putting out wild concepts that people would never consider in their lives for spirituality and religion. And it became a big conversation in some communities. A lot of forums became popular and people started flocking to those forums. And what happened was those forums eventually became Instagram, right? But I heard about that lie and stuff, and I learned about the Antichrist that I read about in the book of Revelation being known as the Maitreya in these videos, right? And in these videos, the Maitreya is like this person who's supposed to be like the Messiah of the New Age movement, the false king, false ruler, whatever. So, yeah, take that with a grain of salt, like I said, because this is all like conspiracy theory nonsense. It's entertaining, but this is also a story that I'm telling you from my experience of life. Now, I learn about this Antichrist guy, right? And they show a picture of the Maitreya guy. They show a picture of him, but they don't say his name. They don't say anything. They just show a picture of him. And they're like, this is him. He's alive. He's in the world. And me with like photographic memory, I remember that picture. I remember like the look in them. I'm like, okay. Noted. The picture was burned into my memory, not like through intention, but just like through some random grace, I'd say. And so the Maitreya guy is shown, but there's no name given to that person. They are only mentioned as already being in the world and already at work to deceive the nations. I shrugged it all off as bullshit, bro. I shrugged it all off. Like, that's all BS, dude. Excuse my language, but I remember the picture of that Maitreya guy, right? All right, cool. 2012 happens. I start community college. 2 years after earning my GED, I was a high school dropout. Dropped out in the year 2008, 2 months before graduation. And December 21st happens, right? December 21st happens in, what? 2012, and nothing happens, right? Everybody's like, 2012, Mayan calendar, Aztec prophecy, the world's gonna end. And if you look at the spiritual side and all the other online content that was previously available, I don't know if it still is, but you go to forums and stuff, you read all these books that you find in New Age stores, and they're like, oh, well, it's actually about this new cosmic change that's happening. And it's really just like all information to me. Like, I just think of it as like, oh, you believe in some wacky Scientologist stuff. And no disrespect to any religion, including Scientology, even though, like, you know, Scientology is pretty disrespectful in general to a lot of people of different faiths. There's just something really weird happening, right? So I start community college 2 years after earning my GED in 2012. 2014 comes. I try this drug that my friends are talking about called ayahuasca. I try it unwittingly and not really thinking through what I'm doing, at the advice of a high school friend and without doing much research on it myself. Another community college friend exposes this 4chan red pill rabbit hole ideology that he finds entertaining, and he talks about like racism and racist country music, and he plays some of it for me, and I'm like, oh yeah, some of my friends in high school would like play that stuff for me, and I don't know how to feel about it, because, like, you know, I'm a mutt, and everybody would call me a mutt in high school. Everybody would be like, are you black? What are you? Like, everybody. So it was really weird. And even like outside of high school, I'd go out into LA and speak Spanish, and people would act like they've never seen a Puerto Rican before or a Dominican. I've even been in a lady's house and she started crying, saying that she had a dream about me being in her house speaking Spanish and she didn't understand it. And she thought it was like a revelation from God or something. And I think that changed a lot of people's perspectives about racism, especially racism between Latinos and black people. And the reason I'm saying that is because, yeah, racism exists in the Latin community, and it's really more of like a colorism than it is racism, but there's even more like hate for black people in the US if you're Latino and you're like seeing black people who are represented in the media as being entitled or whatever. So anyway, I try ayahuasca. After that community college friend exposes the red pill ideology that he finds entertaining, he shows me and reveals to me that he's a closet racist, and he ends up confessing to me through time and friendship that he would murder animals to satisfy his urges at a young age. But he considers himself like a murderous, self-righteous person like Dexter, or like, you know, what's his name? Jigsaw from Saw. Ridiculous. Another way to describe it or think about it is like Anton Chigurh from No Country for Old Men. I don't know if you've seen that, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to move on from here because I still try to be friends with this guy, even though he threatens that he wants to murder me multiple times. This same friend, and I would name him, but I mean, honestly, it doesn't really matter what his name is. This same friend was born on, actually, ironically, strangely, no coincidence, no connection at all, no connection at all. Don't reach into this. But he was born on 9/11, 1996. This guy introduces me to like red pill media through like Prager University and stuff. And he talks about the concept of the Republicans versus the Democrats throughout the United States history about how both sides are racist. And he wasn't wrong about a lot of this stuff. So he was a really confusing guy. 2016 happens. Trayvon Martin is basically publicly executed by law enforcement. Harambe is publicly executed by zoo enforcement. Black Lives Matter starts becoming a terrorist organization because black people are acting in very, very unlawful ways in response to their anger and their trauma. And then Trump gets elected in 2016. What a coincidence, right? Proud Boys and the Red Pill propaganda become mainstream concern for teens and young adults, and there's this huge intervention movement that's happening from the Democrat side, which, you know, I'm always like this middle child. I've always been the middle child, kind of like watching and being like, what's going on here? Y'all okay? I'm gonna go play video games. I'm gonna go outside. I'm gonna go see what those people are up to over there. I'm gonna go put some headphones on and listen to music, right? So during all this time, because that's always been like my coping response, is just to like go and learn about the world and reality. It's like I escape reality by diving into it, right? So all of these scientific things and concepts, philosophical things that I'm taking in, learning about in school, in college, all of these things come up, right? And I start wondering about a theory for everything. Because, like I said, at the time, I'm struggling with my faith as a Christian, struggling with my faith as a human being. And yeah, I find out about this guy named Thomas Campbell in 2016. Mind you, this is like all this is all like going on while in the background of my life. I have a personal life, right? I have things that I'm going through that I'm not talking about in this story. But that's none of your business for now. 2017 comes up. After I have a vulnerable conversation with a friend, someone who I thought was a friend, and being psychologically manipulated and broken by this friend of mine, who I tried to start a business with previously, doesn't matter. After this conversation, and he breaks me down psychologically, and I'm crying in front of him. And this is a testament to how witchcraft is real, okay? This friend brings me an alcoholic beverage that is spiked with something that I taste as I'm drinking it. And the only reason I ended up drinking it is because I was in such a state of panic and tears and just talking and talking and talking. And he's like, "You want a beer, man?" And that's when he gave me that beer. And he was gone for like 15, 20 minutes before he came back with that beer, and I was by myself crying in the room, like just freaking out because of the things that he was telling me and the things that he was asking me and stuff. Like he was just messing with my head. And he comes back with the beer, and we continue talking, and I'm not drinking the beer. And while we're talking, I remember this all very clearly because it's the grace of memory in my body, all right? While I'm crying, he says, "Hey, you want to drink that beer?" And I drink it, and I realize it tastes weird. So like my general like response to anything that tastes weird is just like down the hatch, because you know you grow up in different cultures. People give you all these different drinks. If you don't like it, you just drink it anyway. That drink was spiked with something that caused me to have a near stroke that night. I think the only reason I'm still alive today is by the grace of God and my family caring for me. By the grace of family and lots of people who love me. So I'm going to move on from this, but previously in the past, this friend has talked about serving old gods and stuff. And I was just kind of like, you're just another one of those wackos who believes in wacky shit. And he's talked about serving these old gods in the past, but I was always, a skeptic. And he always swore to me that he wasn't evil or anything, even though he served the old gods. Mind you, this guy was extremely tall. He was like 7'4". I don't know what connection that has with anything. I just thought he had like dope genes and he could have been great at basketball. But like kids would make fun of him in school all the time for being so tall and having like a young looking face. Like why do you look like such a baby? You know, because developmental delays happen in some children, you know? So you'll see them, and especially in like high school, kids just look weird. Kids just look weird. Like I looked weird in high school. If you look up a picture of me in middle school and high school, you're gonna be like, this guy's the guy that's talking on the camera right now. What an ugly duckling. But anyway, this guy was 7'4". I survived that situation where he had given me the drink because I decided to leave his house. But for many years, I don't feel the same. I have very, very bad brain damage and brain fog. And this is while I was a very high-achieving honors student in my community college. I was doing a lot of big things in my community. And it just sucks that all happened. I kind of did it to myself. It's like self-sabotage. I'm not going to blame him. But I just never wanted to stop. I didn't want to drop out of community college after that experience when I was just 2 months away from graduating. So it's ironic that, before I move on, it's just ironic that the trauma that I had from dropping out of high school affected me so much that I was willing to push myself through community college because I did not want to fail or make that same mistake. So a month later, I go on to graduate from community college, and then I begin studying early psychology writings like Carl Jung, William James, Sigmund Freud, to prepare for a degree in psychology. I thought, well, let me get a good foundation of what these like old dudes from the past were saying. Friedrich Nietzsche was one of them too. But anyway, 2018 comes. That was all 2017, by the way. 2018 comes. Things seem somewhat chill. Somewhat chill. I don't know. I'm just pushing through. I get into university as a community college transfer student. Life is good. 2019 comes and I'm lost in bad habits. I'm chasing addictions and harmful behaviors. You know, I'm holding beliefs in my body and fighting against this evil that you know, I continue to sustain in my own living, that I feel conflicted as a person. I realize I'm not happy in my relationship. I was trying to cheat on my partner. Thank God I never did, but there were many cases in which I came really close, and it's because my partner and I had a traumatic relationship, right? She had cheated on me, and there was just a lot of emotional disconnection that her and I were not able to reconcile because of our values and the way we were both raised differently. So she was a great partner, but I ended up feeling conflicted about where my life was going, especially because I was in university. I was seeing all these things and hearing about all these dudes who were successful and cheat on their wives, and I was like, I don't want to make this mistake. I'm already this close. So even though me and my partner had just moved into a new apartment, I decided to end our relationship, which basically felt like a marriage to me because we had lived together for many years and had an on and off relationship, separated, came back together. And I had decided that I was ready to just be on my own. And a lot of it was because I felt like, one, she deserved better, and two, I wasn't happy with myself, right? So I became divorced and thereby homeless for several months. During my divorce, the Notre Dame church burns down. Mind you, also during my divorce, I'm homeless and I end up becoming stalked by a local gang where I was living. And it was like a story of cry wolf to everyone in my family. Like, I was telling family and friends and nobody was believing. Like, nobody's following me. And I'm like, bro, no, this guy approached me with a bat one night, and the only reason I'm still alive is because I put the fear of God in him. And he called me the N-word, got in his car, and drove off. And during this time, I'm learning about like things like the Mexican Mafia. Nipsey Hussle's killed during the time that I was homeless, and I was, you know, like, there's just all this weird stuff happening in the world, and I'm like, what the heck is going on, bro? I just want to get through college. Can I get through college, please? I worked so hard to get through this. Like, you can take my life, sure, fine, whatever, but like, let me get through college, bro. So in October 2019, I'm in I want to say my third quarter at my new university. I had gotten through fall 2018, winter 2019, spring 2019 as a homeless student. It all started in winter 2019. From winter to spring, I was homeless and I was able to get help. Shout outs to the University of California in Irvine. They really helped me out, and I met some really great people there. And I'm sure that they were scared and didn't know how to trust me or what to believe about what I was talking about. But I got the help that I needed and I got through it, right? So in October 2019, I attend my very first guided deep meditation workshop. Mind you, I've practiced meditation since 2014. I've had a prayer life throughout most of my life, but of course I've always struggled with my faith, right? So I've always been open and curious about how other cultures and people see the world. And I didn't think that there was any harm in being open to what other people experience in life, right? Now, this sounds like it's a very well-intended thing, but I can tell you that sometimes the path to hell can be paved with good intentions. And I don't want to get into the muds of that, but I'm going to move on here. I attend this first guided deep meditation workshop, and I feel a complete change in my perspective of life. And, I feel like this desire to join and help with the meditation group and like help to teach this meditation to people, because it would help, right? I'm thinking if it helps me, if it's helping me, it's got to help a lot of other people. I go on through, October 2019, I jump on a radio, the college radio station. I become the DJ at the college radio station for a show that's played between the hours of like 4 a.m. and 6 a.m. And all this stuff is happening between 2019 and 2020. From October 2019 to March 2020, I was doing like radio show work. I was like an extracurricular thing while I was pursuing my degree in psychology, right? And I've always considered that like, I want to be a psychologist. I want to be someone who helps people. I don't really want to be like this radio person. I was just doing it for fun, and also because like people have told me, you have a radio voice, you should be on radio. Anyway, COVID happens literally months into me getting my own music radio show at my university FM station. Me being a person who refuses to back down, guess what? I continue to do the radio show even during the pandemic. Even during the pandemic, I stay in university. I continue and I push all the way to try to make it to graduation. Some of my friends in university, they ended up going back home, or they ended up saying like, I need a break and I'm going to stop for a little while and come back. But I said, nah, man. Ain't no pandemic's gonna stop me right now, dude. I was just homeless for a year before, right? So I had this ambition that... Wow, somebody set off what looks like a firework? Anyway, I had this great ambition. And this great ambition was driven by a desire to help people and also to live well. So in 2021, after a year of the pandemic and moving around the country because, challenges and universities closing down for the summer and people are moving out of their apartments and my lease was coming up. So I was almost homeless again. And I was like, I'm just going to go around the country with family. So I go around the country and visit family, which is something I really needed in 2020. 2021 comes and I decide to tell all of my friends about what that one friend of ours who's basically the giant in our group, what he did. And I decided to stop talking to him. I decided to stop talking to that friend. And I'm like, hey, you guys can keep talking to him because I don't know if that's true, what he actually did to me. I really want to doubt everything that I'm thinking, because that's the same thing that I'm used to doing, is just doubting. And I stopped talking to him. Anyway, and pushing through university amidst COVID, I started having those severe panic attacks and a nervous breakdown. A lot of that is just the burnout from just pushing with all that ambition that I was carrying, but I wasn't taking time to rest. And I had too much, the way I would say it is I had too much desire pushing in me to be rich, which is dumb. But anyway, I take a break from university, and in this time of university, I learn about the Freemasons and their Luciferian slash Baphometian roots to the masons of the ancient world. And this is all personal research that I had to do. This is all personal research that I ended up doing because friends were telling me about the child trafficking and sex trafficking stuff that's happening in the world. That one movie came out that was directed by like Jim Caviezel, which, you know, ironically, he played Jesus in The Passion of the Christ, if y'all didn't know. But, you know, it's all about exposing Hollywood. And all this stuff just starts really like coming up in me. And I'm like, well, what is going on here? Life has made sense up until like, you know, I started hearing all these friends. And one of my friends, who was talking very much about the child trafficking and sex trafficking issues that are happening on social media. They were weighing me down with such a negative conversation that I ended up challenging them with the question, what are you doing about it? Right? Because all you're doing is complaining to me like if I'm some kind of therapist to you, but I'm not a therapist. I'm not a psychologist. I'm a student. I'm your friend. So what are you doing about it? Are you just complaining and trying to make money and be rich and while complaining about these people? And that friend stopped talking to me. She was like, yeah, no, I'm done with you. And we stopped talking for a while. She was a good friend that I had since elementary school. Great friend. Love her to death. I pray that she's doing great these days. But yeah, I don't really talk to her anymore. But I decided to go back to university during this time. And I, by some chance, fall into an internship that has to do with sexual abuse, dating abuse, and violence prevention. And for my internship, I had to learn about all of that, all of the data, and then, of course, even more so about Title IX law, which is super important in higher education, super important in all educational institutions. It should be super important in work, too. I hope it is, in organizational institutions, you know. And the reason why Title IX law became a thing is because abuse. It's all about preventing abuse. It's all about understanding. When people say words like use of force, it's like, and then they start to question, like, what does that mean? It's like, no, abuse. All right. So I started learning about abuse as a person who has gone through abuse in relationships myself. And I've also been friends to people who have sought my support because I guess, I don't know, they sensed that I was a person that they could lean on. Because of all this studying and experience I had with abuse, I start realizing, like, this is some heavy stuff. This is some hard work. And I had to write a 10-page paper about Title IX law. And I started reflecting on my own life during this time. But I think I was also still kind of numb emotionally from what happened in COVID and also the medications I was on. So anyway, I attend my first silent retreat offered by these same deep meditation workshoppers, right? The deep meditation people who taught me that very deep. It was a Hindu style meditation. And it helped me get through some very, very challenging times, and it helped my brain heal from the damage that was done by that friend who gave me that drink. I'm serious. My brain was just like shut off for years, and it was not functioning the same. My drive and my ability to do things was just compromised. Is that the word, compromised? Yes. Felt limited. I felt like I was fighting against myself a lot, or pushing myself to do better when I couldn't keep up with myself before that event. So after attending that first silent retreat, I decided to get back in university. I do that, the internship. And then I graduate. I get my bachelor's degree, right? As a high school dropout and a university dropout in the middle of COVID, I go back and get my university degree. I feel great. I continue to work. I'm working in the field of higher education, supporting youth, wellness and success development, things like that. Supporting students is basically what I was doing. And I attend a second silent retreat during this time. And this was kind of at the depth and also the height of what I would say is the greatest depression I've experienced in my life. Because I've been in and out of chronic stress, and I've been in and out of environments that are filled with so much stress that it's just surprising that I've been able to get through this, right? It's through no will of my own. It's through the will of the Most High God and all of his holy people, all of the great people in the world. Like I said, good people exist in the world. So anyway, 2023 comes. I continue to work. I attend my third and fourth silent retreats offered by the same nonprofit workshop meditation organization. I visit a meditation teacher who is actually the person who founded this workshop, and they're connected to the person who founded the Transcendental Meditation. And I visit them on their birthday. There is this big celebration that we have for their birthday, right? All of the people who have heard of this individual, who have met this individual, or who have received help from this individual, they go and they pay their respects. So I go, and this is in LA. It's an ashram in LA by the University of Southern California. I go to this place, right? And I meet them in person. This is probably the second time that I actually am there in person with this meditation teacher. They're a Hindu saint, a Hindu sage. Now, I don't know what all of this is, but I'm just going to keep talking about it, right? So I go there on their birthday, his birthday, I should say. And his birthday, it was a nice experience. I ran into somebody who was a teacher at my community college there, which was kind of interesting. And they told me some very interesting details. And I was like, oh, you've been, and I'm like, huh. And I'm learning the interconnectedness of all these weird things. And life is starting to feel like, like it used to just kind of be really random. Like, excuse me. Excuse me. Things used to feel really random. What's going on here? And, yeah, I noticed that there's this photo or this picture of the same picture I saw in 2012, 2010, that whole era of conspiracy theories. I see the same picture, that Maitreya guy. And that Maitreya guy is this meditation teacher. And I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, like, who's making up bullshit? Who's making up stuff around you? Who's lying around here? And why are they lying? Why are people lying? Who's lying? Who's lying? And I just didn't know what to think or feel about it then, right? Now, I recognize that photo, and I'm just thinking to myself, oh, this is a coincidence. Maybe my memory's wrong, right? Maybe my memory's wrong. My memory's been wrong before. I've been wrong before. So, yeah, I just shrug it off. I'm like, whatever. I shrug it off, and I attend a meditation certification workshop at the end of 2023 and the beginning of 2024 to become a certified meditation teacher, because, I'd love to help and be a part of teaching meditation, since I was already practicing it individually in 2010s era. And I thought, oh, this would be a great opportunity for me to work in the field of meditation and hopefully to do research, So I find, after taking this meditation workshop class and I become a certified meditation teacher, I don't have the certificate, and I don't really care about a certificate. I don't really know if I need to be certified to teach meditation, but it was very, very wonderful being a part of that workshop. I've met some wonderful people in that group and that organization, wonderful, amazing people, good people in the world. And I find a career in teen health education, right? This is when I move from higher education, career success and wellness. I move from that into teen health education, which is basically also teen wellness and success. So I find this career, and I'm in this field because I feel called to help the youth. And I continue to work. I didn't last long in that field because 9 months in, a lot of my own personal trauma and I want to say values got in. It would be interesting to say in the way, but I think what happened was something clicked in me, and I was like, this is not the right place for me. This is not the right place for me. So In 2024, I leave this career in health education due to moral, personal, and ethical conflict of interest. I attend, at the end of 24, a winter meditation workshop, which was held on 12/21/2024 at the 9/11 site. Listen to this. The 9/11 site. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I swear to you, I'm just a person who takes in information and I'm like, who's playing tricks on me? You know? So this 9/11 site is now known as the One World Trade Center. I realized while I'm there in that meditation workshop, in meditation, and I've gone to meetings with very, very important people in government and different groups of people, and there's just certain behaviors and things that people will do when you go to these meetings. If you know, you know. That's when I realized, like, I don't want to be around y'all if y'all are doing this. Like, that's not my thing, bro. I believe in privacy and freedom. I believe in people being able to grow and learn from their mistakes, you know? So anyway, I realized while I'm there that it's been 23 years since 9/11/2001, and other memories in conjunction with that whole memory and all these conspiracy theories and the Maitreya start coming in together, and I'm like, what the heck is going on here? And then I realized, 6/6/2024, if the Antichrist was born on 6/6/2006, that fool is 18 years old right now. And I was like, anyone born on that day, by the time voting in the United States became an option for the 2024 elections, 2025, you know, the new president, I realized that anybody born on 6/6/2024 is now 18 years old. Is that a coincidence? I don't know, man. Something in me clicks. I return to Christianity. I'm like, I've struggled with my faith long enough through my own doing. There is no evil in this world making me struggle with my faith. I'm struggling because I'm choosing to be bad. And I'm deciding to leave behind all of this crap, all of this occult new age stuff. I'm leaving behind everything everybody tells me because I'm just confused, bro. But I'm not confused. See what I'm saying? I'm like, who's playing a trick on me? I'm waiting for you to stop playing this trick on me. Stop playing this trick on me. So yeah, it's 2025. I realize that there's no going back, but damn. Why do I have to be nosy, bro? Why do I have to be so nosy? And like, not deliberately nosy. I'm not nosy on purpose. I'm just kind of like, I'm naive, you know? I'm naive and I'm gullible. And you hear all these sounds, right? You hear all these sounds. Don't worry. Don't be afraid, man. Anyway, there's no going back. All of a sudden, Shadow the Hedgehog makes too much sense. The game Shadow the Hedgehog makes, what's going on here, bro? Somebody's scheming, bro. And it's a coincidence that Shadow the Hedgehog appeared in the Sonic 3 movie in 2024, right? Heaven help me if I know what's going on, because I don't know what's going on, but I gotta go. I'll see you. I'm getting rebaptized very soon. It's 2026. Happy New Year, y'all. This has been a wonderful life, and I hope you all are safe in the upcoming 2026 through 2028 timeline, because it's gonna get wild, bro. I don't know what's gonna happen either, so don't throw no evil on me. Bye.